Hey everybody, Dr. Grant here, and today we're going to be talking about basically the best way to eliminate ADHD symptoms naturally. Now, when I preface about elimination or eliminating ADHD symptoms, I think ADHD is a part of who we are. I still have ADHD; it's still part of who I am. I don't want to get rid of it, but when it comes to the symptoms that come along with it, I like to help unlock people's ADHD brains to have more of their true potential. So I kind of want to just preface that as far as when it comes to what I'm referring to, what I mean by eliminating symptoms. I'm talking about things that kind of get in our way, such as the lack of motivation, the willpower, the focus, not being as productive. But there's definitely ways to unlock that ADHD brain of yours so that you can actually have that superpower of having that hyper focus and being more efficient and productive in your super genius with your ADHD brain. So what I want to do is actually share case studies on this to really help you understand of what I think of when I am trying to help some potential patient or client that come in and want to eliminate some of these symptoms that hold us back with our ADHD brain. So very first thing, what I think of is usually from a micronutrient level is I think it's really important to first establish what are some possibilities from a micronutrient perspective from vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and antioxidants that could be deficient. And something that's so common with people with ADHD that tend to be deficient in these areas than the average person. So a lot of times I will usually want to test this for the most part, really depends from person to person and their background. But with this kind of case study that I saw, and I also do see this very common, is usually B vitamins will tend to be on a more deficient area, will be deficient. So for example, with this patient, their vitamin B3 levels were low, their vitamin B5 levels were low, and even their vitamin B6 levels were not ideal. And when I see this, this definitely can cause problems of severely a lot of different ADHD symptoms because these specific B vitamins do help with a lot of different neurotransmitters that helps us to be more motivated, to be more driven, to have better energy, to have better focus. So you certainly want to use something like a B complex if you are deficient in specific B vitamins. But you want to make sure that they're activated form of B vitamins. Most B vitamin supplements do, but you got to always double check that they're the activated form of different types of B vitamins. So for example, like vitamin B12, you want to make sure the activated form, which is methylcobalamin, just to give you an example there. Vitamin D was also something that was very deficient in this person right here. And so adding something like vitamin D, but also vitamin K2 to combine it with vitamin D, those are really good to combine together because you want to always add a fat soluble with a vitamin D3 when you're doing high doses of vitamin D3. But vitamin D can definitely impact the focus as well as the energy. And I see this very common as a deficiency with people with ADHD. So it's definitely really something I think really important to definitely incorporate. Now, another thing that I do see, this is probably more common, I would say, in older adults. So like, hitting about age 40 and above, where we will see things such as choline levels to being low. And when we see choline levels are deficient, this actually impacts more of the memory issues that you might find out with your ADHD symptoms. So if you're having some memory issues, there could be a possibility of a deficiency in choline levels. So you want to add something like phosphatidylcholine to help with that. Now, another one is also serine. So serine is also that can impact our memory issues. And this is also something very common I do see with older adults running into this issue. So adding something like phosphatidylserine is a big one. Now, I think energy is something like if you're dealing with fatigue, like chronic fatigue with your ADHD, which is very common. I see it time and time again all the time. And this can impact your focus and other ADHD symptoms. So it's always important to address that situation of why you might have chronic fatigue. Some of the big ones that I do see is like definitely looking at CoQ10, like this patient did have their CoQ10 levels were deficient. So it's important to make sure you're addressing that and also making sure that you're, if you're taking a statin drug, that definitely will decrease your CoQ10 levels. CoQ10 has everything to help improve ATP, which has to do with energy, improving energy cells throughout our body. And so those are some of the big ones that I would say as far as the micronutrients go. Now, another one that I think is also really important to address is omegas. So omega-3s, some of the two big important ones, the two ones are EPA, DGA. So EPA is typically going to be more for cardio. So for your cardiovascular health, for good heart health, if you see those deficient, and DGA is more for the brain. typically targeting there. So in this case, this person, their EPA levels definitely were low. And, DHEA were okay, but I usually like to see a little bit more above that. So I will usually typically add a increase in EPA ratio over a DHEA ratio if we see those are deficient. But omega-3s are really important, not only for the brain and health, but it's also an anti-inflammatory. So it definitely and an antioxidant, so it does protect inflammation as well as protecting the brain as an antioxidant. So along with that, what's also important is going back to the chronic fatigue situation. ADHD, especially adults with ADHD, will deal with this time and time again. And when you're dealing with chronic fatigue, it definitely can impact your focus throughout the day as well. So things that I typically like to look at to make sure that we're addressing this head on is looking at something like cortisol. Cortisol has everything to do with energy and also our stress levels. So with this patient, you can see that their levels were low first thing in the morning and also afternoon and even early evening. In fact, all around, this person was really low, and they could not focus. They were struggling with work significantly. They have memory issues, and honestly, we're just mentally just fatigued and burnt out. And when I see something like this, it's of course, when I see something like this, I will add some adrenal supportive stuff. So usually a combination, either adrenal support or adrenal desiccated are the kind of two that I like. And I'll usually start them out first thing in the morning, like I did with this patient, and then an afternoon dose. I don't usually like to do it at night because you don't want to be overstimulated at night. That could impact the sleep cycle. So typically that's what I'll do when I see test levels that look like this. Sometimes they might be spiked too high, so we might need to be careful with that. So it just really depends on the individual's person's test results. So with this person, once we incorporate that, it was a night and day difference as far as their energy. They were able to not only focus, but have improvement in energy, but also their memory was improving because of just changing this one aspect for them. Sometimes it could be just that, or several other different things. But for this individual, definitely that made a big difference within their ADHD symptoms and how to help eliminate those that they were experiencing. Now, taking another step further on hormones is you do want to definitely check, especially for adults, looking at the different hormones that could be out of balance. So with this individual, she had low progesterone levels, which definitely significantly can impact your mood. And certainly can make things difficult as far as having consistency and concentration. And then with this other patient, he had low testosterone and DHEA levels. Testosterone definitely can impact your energy, but it can also impact your focus as well. DHEA is what helps build testosterone, so you want to make sure that you're kind of going upstream and not only just addressing testosterone because it definitely can impact that, but also DHEA impacts estradiol. So what we incorporate here, what I did with them is one, adding natural progesterone cream to incorporate that there to help improve those levels. And then another thing that we incorporated for the male patient was Testogain and Simplex M to help with testosterone, which helps improve testosterone levels. DHEA, obviously you want to supplement that when you see it low. And definitely for both of these patients, it helped improve their mood. It also helped improve their energy and their focus and getting rid of a lot of those different ADHD symptoms that you experience with that. On top of that, this also did help improve with their motivation. Because one thing that I do find with hormones is it can definitely mess up with someone's motivation if we do see them deficient like this. So that's something really good to keep in mind. Now, the big other thing that I think overarching thing is definitely looking at the different neurotransmitters. Everyone likes to think about dopamine as the main culprit, as the ADHD situation of why they have the lack of motivation or focus and so forth. But there's other different neurotransmitters that can also be impacted, such as serotonin, GABA, and also looking at the different amino acids. I think that's always important. Also looking at norepinephrine, epinephrine are all important to also be addressing. So for like this patient, don't see this very too often. I presented this case before, but I think it's a really good case to kind of show the example when someone is low in almost every single different neurotransmitter. So this individual specifically had depression, anxiety, all your common ADHD symptoms of lack of motivation, focus, drive, memory issues, couldn't function. He was running a business and he was really lagging behind. He felt like he was very inadequate as a boss and almost where his business was going under. And, when we came to me and we ran these tests, it's like, well, no duh. I mean, this is why you can't function. You feel depressed all the time. And then you have these spikes of anxiety. And then you can't focus throughout the day. You don't have the drive or motivation or focus to being a productive boss. And so once we saw this, then it's like we clearly know exactly what to implement. We knew we had a map because we clearly saw the imbalances that he had. And so the things I incorporate for him specifically to address his low levels of PEA, which is phenolphthaleamine, is adding D-L-phenylalanine. And then a dopa boost to help with his low dopamine and also his tyrosine levels and also his low norepinephrine. Adding L-theanine to help with his low serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and also dopamine. Adding L-tryptophan to help with his low tryptamine levels that also help probe also serotonin. So if you look back here, tryptophan helps build 5-HTP, that also helps build serotonin. So it's always good to look at all different aspects and understand the body chemistry and how things work and the pathways. So that way you know how to be treating and addressing it versus just going blindly and just trying a bunch of different supplements, which I know a lot of you guys have done that, have had some success. But if you really truly want to target the situation, it's good to do some investigative work to understand really what's going on. I also added 5-HTP just because he was just so low in serotonin, and also that can also help with the serotonin levels. And then we added glycine because his glycine levels were low, and also glutamine because glutamate levels were low. And also we used L-theanine to help improve his GABA levels. And then we added L-histidine to improve his histamine levels. Now, why did I add L-histidine for histamine? So histamine actually helps drive and actually build neurotransmitters. And a lot of people think as something that we use when you have itchy, redness, allergies. It is for that, but it also is used for actually driving and modulating different neurotransmitters. So it's important to make sure to improve those numbers if you're deficient in it. And then, of course, GABA is going to impact your mood as well. And then glycine and glutamate are also very powerful ones that help build different neurotransmitters as well. So once we incorporated all of these, it was only 2 weeks after implementing this. He's like, I've never felt like this. He's like, I am now fully functional. I'm happy. I can focus. I'm more motivated and driven. I have full energy. He's like, you've changed my life. And it's because we saw the imbalances first and then went from there versus me just guessing like, oh yeah, this worked for my previous patient, so try this. No, we actually saw where the imbalances were first. And that's how he got the results of eliminating his ADHD symptoms and actually unlocking his true ADHD brain of what it truly could be. And so this is really the power behind investigative work and looking at the body chemistry imbalances to addressing the root causes of your ADHD symptoms. But supplements only go so far. It's really important to use supplements as just a stepping stone. It's not the long-term solution. So with that patient and all the previous patients of the case studies, I always make sure that we're incorporating foods to replacing those supplements over time. Foods need to become your medicine and lifestyle needs to become your medicine. So with this person that I just presented, usually, it's going to usually incorporate about 30% proteins and healthy fats is usually a good one to go with. 50% vegetables for a lot of the vitamins and minerals and deficiencies that he had. And then healthy starches and carbs are always important, especially for serotonin. Complex carbs are really important for building serotonin. Proteins are usually going to help build more of the dopamine pathway. And then vegetables are going to help with all different pathways because of the different vitamins and minerals that are cofactors that are used for building each one of those different neurotransmitters. Okay. So some other things that, you should definitely consider along with the foods. So replacing supplements over time to using food as your medicine as your long-term solution to having consistency is sleep and exercise are going to be really critical as a foundational thing as lifestyle changes to having consistent exercise, but also getting good quality sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours. And then, of course, limiting stressors. I still had to work with him on limiting certain stressors within his marriage and also within work. And once we started to break those down, he even found greater results because it allowed his body to heal. Because when you have constant internal and external stressors sabotaging your health, even if you're implementing all the good things, guess what? It makes it very difficult for you to allow your body to heal. So once you break down those barriers of the stressors you have, it's going to allow your body to heal, to be able to have the magic happen. Okay. So that's very, very critical to eliminating stressors in your life. And then another thing that I think is really important, I think that's very common with especially adults with ADHD, is looking at thyroid. Doing a thyroid panel is something I do highly recommend, just to rule it out, because thyroid issues can present with a lot of different ADHD symptoms as well, such as brain fog, focus issues, low energy, memory issues, all sorts of things. Okay. So I think that's always really important to incorporate. So, I mean, if you would like to find out this information for your own ADHD and your focus issues, I'd love to help you out. But it requires further investigative work. And so what I am doing and offering is a chance to actually book a consultation with me. I spent well over $500,000 in education, medical school, but you don't need to do that. I've already done that heavy lifting for you. And so what I'm offering is an opportunity to book a consultation. Basically, it's a $750 value for a 45-minute one-on-one consultation with me. You also get access to our nutrition and lifestyle tracking app. And this is something that we use with our patients and clients to track all the different nutrients, food, sleep, different markers, biomarkers that we do track. And so it's a $300 value. And then, of course, there is the $197 value of the in-depth client questionnaire that we use. And so you also, if you do purchase today, you do get access to our ADHD health course. There's a $597 value. So you get this whole value is for $1,844, and you get it all today for just $297 if you do purchase today. So what you got to do is just click on the link in the description below. That's provided in the description right there at the top. Once you click on that link, then you'll come here, you'll purchase. Once you have filled out that, you'll purchase. This is very important. When you come to this page, you're going to hit the book now, and then you're going to select a practitioner, which would be me in this case. And then you're going to select a date and time. Now, please select a date and time where, if you do have a significant other or a spouse, I do require that they do need to be there, just because I do like to know the outside perspective of a significant other or spouse. Really helps me understand more of the challenges you're having with your ADHD. So please book a date and time where you both can be present. So that way I can get more of an outside perspective from the significant other or the spouse. And then once you book that date and time, you'll fill out your information. And then this is really important. Once you have submitted that, it'll take you to this page, which is really important. There's two different emails that you're going to be getting. One that's going to basically be your confirmation of your email of the appointment with a provided Zoom link. And then a second one is to activate your Practice Better account. This is our online client portal. This is how you get access to the app, the $300 value app, of the lifestyle nutrients, and also how you felt a client questionnaire. And then this is where you can also upload any standard labs. Those are just standard labs that you can enter in the past year. I know it says 2 years, but I say a year. No more than a year. Please don't just overload your past 20 years of labs. I just need just over the past year, and that's it. And then make sure to block out the time for 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes we need to go an hour in case you have more questions. So I usually block out that time just in case, and then make sure show up early. So if you are really serious about finally tackling your ADHD and really want to eliminate those symptoms and unlocking your true ADHD brain and actually get to the root cause of the problem, then book that consultation. Click on that link in the description below. Thank you guys so much for attending, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Thanks. Bye.